So let's take you straight back then to the Kremlin now and show you those images we've got coming into us as Vladimir Putin arrives there to begin his fifth term as Russian president in a very opulent Kremlin inauguration. These, as I say, the images just coming into us. Already in office for nearly a quarter of a century, the longest-serving Kremlin leader since Stalin, Putin's new term will not expire until 2030, when he could even stand again to run for a further 6 years. Putin credited, on the one hand, with transforming Russia from a country emerging from economic collapse, but of course severely criticised by powers around the world for his full-scale invasion of Ukraine, turning it into something of a pariah state that threatens global security. We're going to talk now to our former Moscow correspondent, Nick Holdsworth, who joins us now from Berlin. Nick, Putin may be getting a new mandate officially today, but is his position, would you say, totally assured at the top of the Kremlin as that ceremony there gets underway?
From what I've been reading recently, it's not totally assured. There's going to be a government reshuffle. There are even reports that there may be an announcement of a new prime minister today. What we're seeing in these images from a very cold and wet Moscow this morning is the elaborate official show that this is Putin. This is the president who was re-elected with over 87% of the vote just last month. And that he's still there, as you just said, could be there for another 12 years yet. However, there seems to be some kind of infighting going on within the Kremlin between different power groups. And we've seen just recently, a week or so ago, a senior military general arrested on charges of gross fraud, several $1 million worth of rubles apparently disappearing. One of his deputies since has been arrested. And this may suggest that the position of the defense minister, Shoigu, may not be as firm as it could be. And there's been an awful lot of criticism of the way the war in Ukraine against Ukraine has been conducted, with the military coming in for an awful lot of flack. And of course, just last summer, we saw the putative rebellion by Yevgeny Prigozhin, which failed, and apparently then Prigozhin died in an air crash a couple of months later. So it's never sure how stable things are in Russia, but the show today for the Russian public shows a monolithic Kremlin as strong as ever, as they like to project.
Yeah, you mentioned the Russian public there, Nick. What about the people across Russia? Is it possible, really, to tell really how popular or unpopular Putin is amongst them?
It's very difficult. There's really no independent polling anymore in Russia, although just last month in April, polls show that over 8 out of 10 Russians approved of the activities of Putin. So you've got an 80% approval rating, which is even higher than a couple of years ago. It dipped slightly when the war started. But these polls are never really reliable. They've been showing Putin's popularity between a low of around 60 and highs of well over 80 for years now. It's very hard to tell. But what one can say is that with possibly as many as 1 million of Russia's brightest and best fleeing the country after the war started just over a couple of years ago, a lot of well-educated, possibly liberal and critical of Putin type people have left the country. Those that are left in Russia, you've got this rally around the flag phenomenon, and today's orchestrated events in the St. Andrew's Hall in the Kremlin there, as we're seeing, all gold and opulence, is designed to prop up the regime with these images for the general public in Russia.
Nick, thanks very much. Nick Holdsworth, our former Moscow correspondent, talking to us there from Berlin. As Nick was talking there, those live images coming into us now of that ceremony getting underway, the re-inauguration of Vladimir Putin.